This week is going to be one of the more practical applications of activity on the internet that I think we'll probably have all semester. So I'm going to talk about what we're doing this week, and then I'm going to talk about the midterm because we're at the middle of the class already. So it's about time to do something about that. So let's do a screen share and we'll jump right in. So in your week 4 block this week, I've titled this Come Out Wherever You Are, because it really isn't hard to find information these days. What search engine do you use when you're trying to find something? It's probably built right into your web browser. It's probably built right into your phone. You just type something in and all these results come back. The challenge is you don't always get exactly what you're looking for. So this week, we're going to dive in deep into some strategies and some tips for how to make your searching more effective, more efficient, but then also how to decide, is what I'm finding actually a reliable thing to use? And are there ways to use it that are okay and not okay? So we're going to look at all of these things this week in the activities that we do. So if you come down to the think section, I have a couple of things that might just spin your beanie just a little bit. So this first video, what does Google know about me? Have you ever Googled your name? You might try that sometime. Just type in your name and see what comes up. It's actually kind of good to know that. But beyond that, Google knows an awful lot about you. And I love Google products. I use Google Drive, I use Gmail, I use Google Calendar, Google Podcasts, like all things Google, I like. But I do have an awareness that that's giving one company an awful lot of information. So this, what does Google know about me, is going to talk about that a little bit. And you should think, like, are there places and are there ways that I can control my privacy? The answer to that is yes. This next link is a video. It's a video and an article, actually. DuckDuckGo is an alternative search engine, one that says they're going to protect your privacy, that they don't keep your search histories. And so it's really interesting because it's almost like a David and Goliath sort of thing. You know, Google is become a word. What do you want? How do you find something? Well, I Google it, right? So DuckDuckGo is going to give you some strategies or another tool that you can use and see what you think about it. There's an article that goes along with that will talk about those strategies also. So this next article, net neutrality, what is it and why is it important? What is it? Every couple of years, this pops back up as something that's important to pay attention to. And as a user of the internet, you should have an idea of what this is. So watch the video on here and see what you think. I'm really curious. This might actually give you something to think about this week. So coming down here to the Learn section, our GCF tutorials this week, and I forgot to relabel this one, so I'll do that, have to do with searching. Let me just click into this. Have to do with search better, evaluating information, and using information correctly. So when you go through these tutorials, even if you feel like you know, like I learned something about how to be a more effective searcher pretty much almost every day. And so even if you think you already know how to do this stuff, go through the tutorials anyhow. I'm going to bet that you'll pick up a thing or two that you didn't know before. This video I love, the top 14 search tips from Google. And what I did in here is I pasted the timestamps from the video description on YouTube. Now, the cool thing about timestamps, two things. One, you can see what he's talking about, but two, when you click a timestamp, it'll take you to exactly that section that he's talking about it. So that's pretty useful. You can jump around that or you can watch the whole video. It's not very long. I think it's only about 8 minutes long, but he covers a huge range of activities for how to search Google like a pro. And then this last one is from Google itself. Google tips and tricks for how to search better, how to get better results, because there are some things you can do, some combinations of words, some, for example, if I wanted to find information about the White House, like the place where the president lives, if I just type in White House, I might get all kinds of stuff. I might get stuff about painting a house white. I might get stuff about a White House on the corner of 7th Street. I might get, who knows what you'll get, right? But if I put the exact phrase and I put it in quotes, like this first tip, White House, odds are really super good that I'm going to get the one in Washington, D.C. So this is just a one-page PDF. You can print it off. It's got some really useful tips. Did you know that you can use Google as a calculator? I do that all the time. And then finally, down here, we've got 2 quizzes like we've been doing so far, and people have been getting those submitted. So if you're running into any trouble on those, let me know. But I think we're into a bit of a rhythm with the GCF Learn quizzes. People are doing a pretty good job about getting those uploaded. But then there is this project, keyword search comparison. Now, this keyword generator is going to pop you open to a Cal State Fullerton webpage where you'll have to go through, and I don't know that you can do this on mobile. You could try it, but I think it's probably better to do it on a laptop. I'm using it in Chrome and I've tried it in Firefox, so I know both of those browsers work well. So your goal here is to understand, what is this idea of a keyword and how can it help me search more effectively? And what you're going to do is go through the process, read this. I actually have a demonstration video, so I'm not going to detail the whole project because this video details the whole project. So watch the video. It'll show you how to do what we're trying to do. And then what you'll end up doing is doing 4 searches in Google and in DuckDuckGo. And your idea is to compare the searches, see what's different, see what's more effective, see what's more on target, and see if there's a difference between just a regular original search phrase, like White House, and your keyword generated search phrase. So when you go through the keyword generator and you go through this whole process, what it's going to do is at the end, it's going to give you a phrase that you can use for your searching. And then in the end, you'll take a screenshot. I just kind of did it this way, where I'm comparing the original search in Google and DuckDuckGo and the expanded keyword search in Google and DuckDuckGo, just to see what the differences are. So there's details there about how to do that. Watch that video. That video will give you lots of information also. Now, our final thing is to do the project midterm preview. So your goal on the midterm, this isn't due, well, there's a piece of it due this week, but the actual midterm is not due until next week. So there'll be more details next week, but I wanted you to get an idea so you could start thinking of things. So the goal here, well, I have a philosophy, is that the best way to learn something deeply is to have to teach it to somebody else. So that's exactly what you're going to do. You're going to take a topic that we've covered so far, and I have a list down here, and it includes this week and next week. So you'll have some flexibility in there. Anyhow, so you're going to pick a topic, a specific thing about a topic. Like, you don't want to teach email. Email's huge. Okay. What do you want to teach about email? Maybe you want to show how to set up filters and folders. Now, there's 2 ways you can get a topic. It could be something you feel like you already know really well, or it could be something you feel like you want to know more about. And in the process of learning about it, you can teach it to somebody else. Both are perfectly valid. And so there's a keyword search video, that one I was just showing you. That's an example of what it might be. It only has to be a couple of minutes long, 5 to 10 minutes, as long as it covers the details and as long as somebody who has no clue at all can take your video and learn how to do the thing, whatever your thing is. So here's the process, and the whole process will be revealed. There's a couple of the last few steps will be open next week. But this week, you're going to select a topic. You have to decide who your audience is, because if you're going to teach it to your grandmother versus a group of middle school kids, you might structure it a little bit differently. Like the content might be the same, but the way you deliver it might be differently. So I want you to have an audience in mind. Even better if you can have a specific person in mind. I'm going to teach it to my kid. I'm going to teach it to my spouse. I'm going to teach it to somebody at work. There's a lady at church I'd like to teach it to. Like, come up with a specific person you're going to talk to and show them how to do this. And then you're going to plan it. So you have your topic, you're going to do a plan. Here's an outline of the things I'd like to cover. And then here's a couple of resources, step 4, for more information about this topic. Now, those are the 4 steps I'm going to ask you to submit to me this week in a draft format. It's not written in stone. You can change it. We'll talk about it. If I think it's too big or too narrow, I'll give you some feedback. Okay. And then next week, what you're going to do is make a video. And we'll talk about how to do that next week. There's several different options. I actually have some options here. You could do what I'm doing right now. You just pull up some slides and you talk. That's a perfectly valid way. Screencast-O-Matic is another really good way. Anyhow, so there's options there, but don't worry about that part this week. This week, you're going to focus on the first 4 steps. And so down here, to get credit for this, you're going to send me a message on your Discord notes channel. You're going to start it with the tag midterm preview. So that way I know. So you start, remember, tag is just a couple of words at the beginning and you make them in bold, and then you type in whatever you're going to type. And then your topic. Give me at least 2 topic ideas, who you're creating the video for, what are some important points. Like I said, the first 4 things, what are a couple of resources, and then what questions do you still have about the project? So those 5 things. All right. Now, this rubric down here is for the entire project. It's not just for this project. So I wanted you to see. Now you'll notice this whole project, the whole midterm, when you do it next week, is worth 100 points. In a class where most assignments are 10 or 20, 100 points is a lot. So you should take this very seriously. But we'll have 2 weeks to work on it. We'll work on it a little bit this week, and then we'll work on it a little bit next week. So there won't be any insight this week because I think you're going to have enough to do with the midterm preparation or the midterm preview. And you'll be able to ask me questions there anyhow. And you're going to be submitting something for the keyword search to the group as well. So this is a really practical week. We're going to step out of our comfort zone just a little bit and try to teach somebody something. So that'll be fun, or at least start that process. And I'm really curious to see what search phrases you come up with. It's really fun to see what people are interested in. When you look at my video, you'll see the example that I use because it's something that I'm interested in. Anyhow, have a really good week, and I'll see you online.